and welcome to Soul Well Business. I'm your host, Denecia Jones, and today we'll talk a little bit about a healer that you've never really met before, a shamanic healer. Meet Shaman Rami of Luminous Path Healing. He is a transformative guide and a shamanic practitioner, and he will tell us more about what he does. Welcome to the show, Rami.
Thank you for having me.
So you've been a shamanic healer for some time now. Tell us about your personal story. How did you decide that shamanic healing was something that you'd be doing?
So, I guess it all began about 14 years ago when I was 17 years old. I started to develop a chronic health condition that doctors were having a really hard time treating. Basically, chronic pain and fatigue that spread throughout my entire body and left me nearly bedridden for 5 years. Um, and so that really launched me on this path of discovery. And I went through the traditional route. My father's a physician, and I was always geared towards Western medicine growing up. Anytime you get sick, you go to the doctor and he fixes you up. So this was a different experience for me. I ended up going to dozens of different uh, specialists locally and then around the country at the Cleveland Clinic. And I started to see the pitfalls of Western medicine, those gaps, especially in the treatment of chronic conditions such as mine. I was put on antidepressants and anticonvulsants and um, narcotics to try to mask the symptoms, but wasn't really finding any solutions as far as healing went. Um, what really launched me into the shamanic world was a spiritual experience I had one evening lying in bed when a vortex opened in my room. Uh, After that, I started communicating with spirit and started seeking some spiritual advice from local elders in my community who pointed me down the path and who helped show me that this was my shamanic initiation and that I could fight it kicking and screaming, or I could use it as a tool. And I dedicated the next 5 years of my life to exploring everything I could about self healing, beginning with meditation and breath work, nutritional support, because I needed to support my physical body, as well as mind body techniques and shamanic energy medicine practices.
Oh, it's amazing. Um, so you've been doing this for some time. How long has it been since you've just made it official?
So after that period, I was able to pull myself out of that illness with a combination of nutritional support and working with a lovely shaman, a medicine woman. Um, and I ended up studying with her school, the Four Winds, and with the Caro lineage in the high Andes of Peru. Um, yeah, and so that was, 11 years ago when I really began my official training.
What are the common reasons why people actually see a shaman?
The thread that I see running through many of my clients' stories, even though externally they may be coming to me because of depression, anxiety, or a physical illness, the common thread that runs through their stories is that they're feeling stuck in some way. Um, they're hitting a wall and they've tried to change their lives on their own, and they just feel like they can't do it themselves. Um, Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
In the same way that we have a physical body, we also have an energy body. Some people call it the electromagnetic field or the aura. And what I find is that with people who are hitting these walls in their lives, sometimes we need to dig deeper and find the real source. We all have these difficult experiences on our path, trauma from childhood that still follows us. And we don't usually have the tools when we're children or growing up to process those experiences as they happen. So that energy almost gets frozen in time. embedded in our bodies and our energy fields. And the training that I went through gave me the tools so that I could help others to go back and release the energy from those places that they were holding it.
Amazing. So, um, viewers, Rami and I, we go back a little bit. I had a business consulting client of mine who we were talking about doing training for their company. And she knew that I was into crystals, and she didn't really know how much I was into the healing world. But she knew enough intuitively to actually ask me for some guidance. It ended up being that they had a ghost that was um, in the building. Basically, the skyscraper in Los Angeles was built on a cemetery, and I guess the spirit was not released properly, and so the spirit was in the building, and the owner wanted to get it out. And so she asked me if I knew of someone, and I said yes, I do. And I reached out to Rami, and he worked with me in the end. So it was a win-win situation. I had some things in my life that needed to be cleared out to allow me to achieve my dreams, and Rami was amazing with that. So I really appreciate what you do, Rami, and I really, really am so grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to have met you and held space for you and to now be on your show. It's awesome that you're doing this.
Yeah, thank you. And let me tell you, it's nice to have that energy clearing in the other realms released. It's so great. Yeah, just talking about walls, it was just like, what's happening? But it feels very, very good to be able to have that clearance.
We have to take care of ourselves on all levels. We're not just bodies, right? We're mind, body, and spirit. So we have to support ourselves in all those ways.
Right. Thank you. So I heard you're going to be training others to do what you do. Tell me a little bit about that, and what's the importance of doing that right now in the world?
Yeah. Well, the shamanic path is really about personal empowerment. It's not about being holier than thou and for myself to hold myself on a pedestal. It's really about holding up the mirror for my clients, for them to realize their own potential and power. Um, and so, as I transition into more of a teaching role, um, it's really important to have healers all over the planet. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're hanging out their shingle and opening their office for clients. It's nice to have undercover healers. It's nice to have other people who have done the deep personal work that's really required to hold space for others, so that they can own their own projections and start dreaming a new world into being instead of unconsciously collectively dreaming this nightmare that has been taking place for so long.
Right. So you're a healer, and you've been an entrepreneur for some time now. Can you share with us what your thoughts are with regards to some of the mistakes that healers and business entrepreneurs make, so they, think about them and don't make them?
When you're starting out, most people are going to have to confront their own self limiting beliefs about their own worth. The moment you need to put a price on your services, it's almost like you're putting a price on yourself. So, where you feel comfortable setting your rate can also be what you're saying about yourself and how you're feeling about yourself in the moment. Um, it's beautiful to do pro bono work and charity work, and it's important for us to remain in balance and to not lose ourselves in money. But it's also really important for us to get the proper compensation for the work that we're offering. Um, we're helping other people's lives, and that is really valuable. So yeah, I one of the common mistakes is people charging too low of a rate of giving away too much of themselves so that they have nothing left. And it's just really important for us to take care of ourselves so that we're filling up our vessel before we're giving to others. And you can't pour from an empty cup. We have to take care of ourselves. So yeah, that's what I've experienced, at least in the one-on-one healing world. We are ultimately the kinds of people that want to give, that want to help. And maybe in our path there have been times where we've put ourselves at the bottom of that list. So um, there's nothing selfish or wrong about taking care of yourself.
It's like being on an airplane. They say put the mask on yourself before you put it on someone else. You have to put it
Absolutely.
on yourself. So that makes a lot of sense.
Well said.
Um, yeah, I've for the past 2 years, that's been something that I've been really kind of battling with. As a female, and we tend to be automatic givers, and the more that we give, it's like we're conditioned to feel good about that. But it was really difficult for me to learn how to just give to myself first and then say, okay, I will give based on what I'm able to give, but I need to give to myself first. And that takes love. Being able to love yourself is something that society really doesn't teach us to do. And so it's something, a muscle that I need to build.
That momentum has built up over so many generations. So for us, there's so many thoughts that show up in our mind when we start to go against that, when we start to take care of ourselves. You can feel guilty and shameful, and um,
That doesn't help either, right? It's just
yeah,
the negative energies.
yeah, it's really all about us learning how to love ourselves.
Amazing. What's the three tips that you can give us with regards to just being healthy and happy in personal and professional life?
Meditation of some kind, and meditation isn't right for everybody. But some form of meditation, I believe, can be used with everybody. For my mother, I think gardening is her meditation.
Mm.
For my wife, painting is her meditation. For myself, meditation is my meditation.
Right. I get you on that one.
And there's been, times in the past where I've told everybody that they should meditate. Um, and and now as I look deeper and see their lifestyle, it's more about them finding their own forms of meditation, and taking the time and making that time in their schedule. um, there are a lot of things that if you don't do it first thing in the morning, you're not going to do it, or it's much less likely for you to do it. And for me, meditation is one of those practices. So that's one. uh, Another thing, I eat a lot of healthy fats to support my brain.
Mm.
There is this, neuroscience of enlightenment. We have to take care of our physical vessel in order to hold these higher energies and these higher states of consciousness. So it's really important to upgrade your computer, um, to accept the new operating system that you're trying to install. Um, Yeah, I've done that with a ketogenic diet in the past, and now I just eat a lot of healthy fats and a balanced diet. So that's number two, take care of your body. Three, laughter. All those things that brought you joy as a child, that lightness. It's easy for us as entrepreneurs to get caught up in work, to not have clear boundaries, um, because you can check your email anytime, you can open your laptop and do work. It's important to come back into that childlike wonder. The ways in which I do that is songwriting, dancing, painting, uh, laughter. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. So it really isn't said in the world much at all. Unfortunately, sometimes we're conditioned to be robots and not really listen to what we need, and that's to be happy. So yeah.
Yeah, that really deep happiness that can transform your life. It comes from realizing that you are this multi-dimensional being, that we can get caught up just feeding this one part of ourselves and really pushing some of the other stuff to the wayside. But when you start feeding all those different parts of yourself, your power increases, your joy increases, and your
Money increases
yeah, money
because
increases.
you're vibrating at a higher frequency and you're happy, and so money's gonna be attracted to that.
Those pieces, don't deny it.
Yeah, yeah. So how do our viewers find you on social media?
You can find me. My website is shamanrami.com. You can find me on Instagram at shaman.rami. I'll be going on tour and doing more dates around the country, offering ceremonies and classes. So
It's
keep it.
great. Yeah. Anything new? Anything else new for 2020?
It's easy to come up with ideas and visions for your future. What can be harder for some people is to bring that down into reality and to really check those things off the to-do list. So for me, 2020 is about bringing heaven into earth, bringing the visions down on the ground, because if we're not taking action, what's the point?
Right. Well, there's also light and there's dark. The one thing that I'd like to share as well is, you know, if we lead with our hearts, it's always going to be a good thing. But when we lead with our egos, sometimes things don't work out because it's not for the highest good of everyone. That's just something that I really like about you is that you lead with your heart. I've always felt comfortable around you, and that isn't the same for everyone. There's some folks that have different things that are going on internally that they're struggling with, and it shows up in their work. So I also, want to share that um, to our audience and to you to just thank you for leading with your heart and
Thank
shining.
you so much.
Absolutely. So there you have it. Great tips on improving your life through shamanic transformative healing from our friend Rami of Luminous Path Healing. If you like this and want more tips and tricks on business and wellness topics that keep you uplifted, inspired, and balanced, like us and subscribe to our channel below. To all my beautiful souls who are finding their way with grace and ease, thank you for joining us. Until the next time we meet, be beautiful and be well.